Everyone's worried about AI taking their job, but I've already experienced how fragile a secure job really is. I work in pharma, and I've actually lost my job twice. Not because I did anything wrong, but because the clinical trials didn't work. And that completely changed how I think about income. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what happened, what I realized about job security, and how I started building income outside of my 9-to-5 without quitting my job. So a little bit of context. I spent the last 10 years in pharma working on oncology clinical trials, and on paper, it's a great career, and I really enjoy it. But here's the thing people don't always realize. In pharma, your job is often tied to whether or not a clinical trial succeeds. And if that trial doesn't pan out, the funding disappears and the role disappears. And suddenly your secure job isn't so secure anymore. That's happened to me twice. In both times, it had nothing to do with my performance. It was completely out of my control. And for me, that was a huge wake-up call. Because I realized the biggest risk isn't losing your job. The risk is relying on one source of income. Because even if you do everything right, you can still end up in a situation where your income disappears overnight. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. And now, fast forward to today. Everyone's talking about AI and whether or not it replaces jobs, changes industries, or just shifts how we work. I think it's just another example of the same thing. There are forces outside of your control that can impact your income. For me, it was clinical trials. For someone else, it might be AI. But the underlying risk is still the same. So instead of trying to predict every possible risk, I decided to focus on one thing: building income outside of my job. That's when I got into real estate investing. But I quickly realized I didn't want a second full-time job. I travel a lot, I work a demanding W-2, and I didn't want to deal with tenants, toilets, and all things that come with owning property. So I leaned into something different: private money lending, which basically means instead of buying the property, I lend money to other investors doing deals and earn interest on my money instead. And this was a game changer for me because I could keep my W-2 job, keep traveling, keep my flexibility, and still build another stream of income on the side without taking on a lot of extra time or stress. And over time, that started to really create something powerful: options. Not pressure to quit my job, not panic about losing it, just options. And that's really the point of this video. This isn't about being anti-job. I still have a W-2, I actually really enjoy my career, but I don't rely on it the same way anymore because I've seen how quickly things can change. So if you're someone who's watching all the conversations around AI and feeling a little uncertain, I wouldn't focus on fear. I would focus on building. Because whether it's AI, the economy, or something completely unexpected, having multiple streams of income is what actually gives you security. If you're a W-2 earner and you want to start building income outside of your job, especially through strategies like private money lending, that's exactly what I talk about on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video.